Hello everyone, it's Charlton. Please subscribe to my channel and give me a like down below. I would really appreciate it. So they've identified, she's identified herself, I guess. Christine Blasey Ford is the woman who is accusing Kavanaugh. What's his first name? Is it Brett Kavanaugh? Brett Kavanaugh, the person who's about to be confirmed to be the next Supreme Court Justice on the Supreme Court. Okay, and he's gone through the entire process, and now I think it goes to committee, they vote, and then it goes to the floor and they vote, and that has some time to it, a week or so. I want to say they're expecting him to be confirmed by the 1st of October, which would be in 2 weeks. I believe that's the time frame here. But the questioning and the vetting of the individual at this stage that formality is done. So when Dianne Feinstein came forward with a letter that had been given to her from another congresswoman in a district that covered Stanford, where reportedly this woman teaches, but she actually teaches at Palo Alto, but she's in a consortium with Stanford, something like that. Her name, Christine Blasey Ford, I know I just said this, that is her photograph, and there's a couple different photos of her as well. And now she's given a pretty detailed account of the incident with the Washington Post. I'm going to read through that right now, and as well as the Daily Mail has, I think that's a childhood friend of Brett Kavanaugh. So, all right, so let me go through it. The Daily Mail has it too as well, and there's a picture of her from her 1984 yearbook in here of the woman is also, and there she is. So she's a professor. Let me read her account, but she has written extensively on a variety of topics, according to heavy.com here. Ford has co-authored over 50 scientific publications, book chapters and books. And Ford's academic work has been widely and prolifically published across a range of psychological topics from, quote, does gender moderate the relationship between childhood maltreatment and adult depression, to, quote, acupuncture, a promising treatment for depression during pregnancy. Ford has written about the cognitive effect of the September 11th terrorist attacks too. She and her co-author wrote, our findings suggest there may be a range of traumatic experience most conducive to growth. And they also highlight the important contributions of cognitive and coping variables to psychological thriving in short and longer term periods following traumatic experience. I don't know. Heavy.com just picked out those titles to reference in terms of her 50 different publications. So her account of things. Before I read through this, a lot of people find this a little bit suspect mostly because of the timing, and that it wasn't brought public until the 11th hour, as they put it, basically until the vetting process was done. And so basically people are saying, why wasn't this brought up when she was questioning him? Why didn't Dianne Feinstein ask him about this when she had her opportunity to question him? And she's had supposedly this letter that she gave to this other congresswoman, who I think her last name is Ashu, or E-S-C-H-O-O. I can't remember her name. I don't have it up here right now. But the letter was originally given to her and then passed on to Dianne Feinstein. And I think Dianne Feinstein had actually even spoken to this woman personally, I believe. But the letter was given to her in late July. It's been 2 months, so why now? And even you have to ask yourself, why is she, all this time she wanted to remain confidential. She didn't want her public identity out there, and that's why, all this time, that maybe that's the reason they were reluctant to bring it forward, to protect her identity. But now she herself is finally revealing herself, and I have a thought on that. I do, because basically, and it's just a thought, it's just my opinion, and we're entitled to our opinions in America, okay? My question is now, the problem with this, the unfairness is that, he's been vetted. He's been through the grinder. Upside down and sideways, every which way possible, no matter what the Democrats say. Believe me, everything, every little piece of paper and person he's known in his life has been, looked into with a microscope up until this point. But we don't know anything about this person. We don't. And we don't because they've kept it from everybody, all right? And so she, you know, unfortunately, and she's not going to be Supreme Court justice, but she's making a pretty serious accusation, so she has to be vetted, I guess, is what you would say. And that takes time, you know? And so and now people are going to have to make a decision or come to a conclusion without having the opportunity to do that. Unless she's where, you know, we take a step back and we do give the American people the opportunity to, you know, vet what she's saying, which will take time, which will delay it to after the midterm elections. That's what I'm saying. Now I'll read her thing. All right, so now Ford has decided that her story, if her story is going to be told, she wants to be the one to tell it. So, speaking publicly for the first time, Ford said, one summer in early 1980s, Kavanaugh and a friend, both stumbling drunk, Ford alleges, corralled her into a bedroom during a gathering of teenagers at a house in Montgomery County. This is in Bethesda, Maryland, I believe. He went to a Georgetown prep, all-boys Jesuit high school, very familiar with it. I mean, I didn't go to that high school, but I went to an all-boys Jesuit high school. Same thing in Philadelphia. While his friends watched, she said, Kavanaugh pinned her to a bed on her back and groped her over her clothes, grinding his body against hers and clumsily attempting to pull off her one-piece bathing suit and the clothing she wore over it. She then tried to scream. She said he put his hand over her mouth. I thought he might inadvertently kill me, said Ford, now 51-year-old research psychologist in Northern California. He was trying to attack me and remove my clothing. Ford said she was able to escape when Kavanaugh's friend and classmate at Georgetown Preparatory School, Mark Judge, jumped on top of them, sending all three tumbling. She said she ran from the room briefly, locked herself in a bathroom, then fled the house. Ford said she told no one of the incident in any detail until 2012. 2012. The incident, I think, is, I don't know if it's 1984 or what. It's a long time ago. So, I mean, that's like 30 years ago before she told anybody. So Ford says she told no one of the incident in any detail until 2012 when she was in couples therapy with her husband. The therapist's notes, portions of which were provided by Ford and reviewed by the Washington Post, do not mention Kavanaugh's name, but say she reported that she was attacked by students from an elitist boys' school who went on to become highly respected and high-ranking members of society in Washington. The notes say 4 boys were involved. A discrepancy, Ford says, was an error on the therapist's part. Ford says there were 4 boys at the party, but only 2 in the room. Notes from an individual therapy session. The following year, when she was being treated for what she says have been long-term effects of the incident, show Ford described a rape attempt in her late teens. In an interview, her husband, Russell Ford, said that in the 2012 sessions, she recounted being trapped in a room with 2 drunken boys, one of whom pinned her to a bed, molested her, and prevented her from screaming. He said he recalled that his wife used Kavanaugh's last name and voiced concern that Kavanaugh, then a federal judge, might one day be nominated to the Supreme Court. One day, the White House sent the Post a statement Kavanaugh issued last week when the outlines of Ford's account first became public. Quote, I categorically and unequivocally deny this allegation. I did not do this back in high school or any time. That's Kavanaugh, Brett Kavanaugh. He's categorically denying it. Through a White House spokesman, Kavanaugh declined to comment further on Ford's allegation and did not respond to the questions about whether he knew her during high school. The White House had no additional comment Reached by email Sunday, judge declined to comment. In an interview Friday with the Weekly Standard before Ford's name was known, he denied such incident occurred. It's absolutely nuts. I never saw Brett act that way, Judge said. That's his friend. That's the dude in that picture in that Daily Mail piece that I just sold. He told the New York Times that Kavanaugh was a brilliant student who loved sports and was not into anything crazy or illegal. Christine Ford is a professor at Palo Alto University who teaches in a consortium with Stanford University, training graduate students in clinical psychology. Her work has been widely published in academic journals. She contacted the Post through a tip line in early July, when it had become clear that Kavanaugh was on the short list of possible nominees to replace retiring Justice Anthony Kennedy. But before Trump announced his name publicly, a registered Democrat who has made small contributions to political organizations, she contacted her congresswoman, Democrat Anna Eshoo, around the same time. In late July, she sent a letter via Eshoo's office to Senator Dianne Feinstein of California, the ranking Democrat on the Judiciary Committee. In the letter, which was read to the Post, Ford described the incident. And said she expected her story to be kept confidential. She signed a letter as Christine Blasey, the name she uses professionally. For weeks, Ford declined to speak to the Post on the record, as she grappled with concerns about going public, as she grappled with concerns about what going public would mean for her and her family, and what she said her duty as a citizen to tell the story. She engaged Deborah Katz, a Washington lawyer known for her work on sexual harassment cases, a Me Too lawyer, a prominent one, very well-known, on the advice of Katz, who believed Ford would be attacked as a liar if she came forward. Ford took a polygraph test administered by a former FBI agent in early August. The results, which Katz provided to the Post, concluded that Ford was being truthful when she said a statement summarizing her allegations was accurate. By late August, Ford had decided not to come forward, calculating that doing so would upend her life and probably would not affect Kavanaugh's confirmation. Why suffer through the annihilation if it's not going to matter? Her story leaked anyway on Wednesdays. The Intercept reported Feinstein had a letter describing an incident. Feinstein soon released a statement. The FBI received a version of the letter with Ford's name redacted, according to the Republican official with knowledge of the letter, and then sent it to the White House to be included in Kavanaugh's background file. The White House sent it to the Senate Judiciary Committee, making it available to all senators. As pressure grew, the New York Times reported that the incident involved possible sexual misconduct. By then, Ford had begun to fear she would be exposed, particularly after a BuzzFeed reporter visited her at her home and tried to speak to her as she was leaving a classroom where she teaches graduate students. Another reporter called her colleagues to ask about her. On Friday, New Yorker reported the letter's contents, but did not reveal Ford's identity. Soon after, Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Charles Grassley released a letter from 65 women who say they knew Kavanaugh when he attended high school from 1979 to 1984 at Georgetown Prep. So through the more 35 years we have known him, we don't need to go into that. So I was just thinking about the dates. So he went to Georgetown Prep from 1973 to 1983. She was 15, he was 17 during this incident. It was over summer break supposedly, and they were nearby, I think, a swim country club. That's why she was in her bathing suit, I believe. And that's what they're saying now. I mean, that's a lot. I read that whole thing. I'm sorry, but that's I think that was all. I didn't even read it until I just made this video right now. So, sounds a little serious in terms of the accusation and the detail, the lie detector test, and all that. I will say a couple things, just like I said in the beginning. The fact that this is coming right now, basically, the push is going to be that we need to look at this more, and we need to wait before we have a vote on him until after the midterm elections. And that seems to be the aim, the political aim of this. Why Dianne Feinstein and other Democrats didn't present this until right now, that seems on its face to be the you know, why they did that. I don't know. My opinion, what, I don't know. I think I don't know. I said I bet my prediction is the vote goes forward and he's confirmed. You know, no mention of this until 2012 from 1983 or 1980. You know, that's 30 years. Never told anybody for 30 years. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, the lie detector test, that's something. That's something. But I don't know. I don't know. Interesting. I was looking up. I was trying to find this person. I really was, and I thought I found it. This just goes to show you, you don't know. And I was so sure because I was looking in the Stanford Law School directory, you know, for all their faculty, and there's a person there who looked about the age, you know, he's 53, and when I searched it on Google, it came up like immediately. In fact, there was a drop-down menu. It came up her name with the name Stan. I mean, now you only type in her first 3-letter name, and then 2 letters of her 9-letter last name, and it already came up in the drop-down menu with Stanford attached to it. I assumed everyone was searching that person too, and it meant that she was the person, and she wasn't. You know, so she's actually a Palo Alto University professor, but she does a consortium with Stanford. I don't know what a consortium is. It's some kind of something. All right, thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. I will see you in the next video. Later, man.